Hello everyone and welcome to wisconsinprepzone.com and our Friday Tailgater for Week 2. I'm Rob Hernandez outside historic Breese Stevens Field, which tonight will see high school football played on its artificial turf for the first time since the 1970s, as Madison West and Madison East square off. The first time those two crosstown rivals will meet here at Breese Stevens since 1974. More on that game in a moment. But first we thought we'd check out the current radar, as weather may be an issue around the area tonight. So let's give a look and see what's in store for the games this evening. Things didn't look promising on the local radar just before noon, but as the hour-by-hour forecast shows, some of the heavy rains may hold off until the second half or after tonight's games. But we'll hope that the rain doesn't impact games too much tonight, because we've got some great ones on the schedule. Let's start first, as we always do, in the Big 8 Conference, and right here at Breese Stevens, where Madison East and Madison West square off, 7 o'clock the kickoff. Two quarterbacks in this game, folks, that combined to throw 100 passes during Week 1. Of course, East Ruben Arndt, 29 of 44 for 317 yards and 4 touchdowns in that high-scoring win over Madison Memorial last week. And West Draylon Savage, 33 out of 56, 354 yards and a touchdown in a 27-21 loss to Verona. So this one here at Breese Stevens that we've waited for a long, long time could go late into the night if those two teams pass as much as they did during Week 1. Elsewhere in the Big 8 tonight, Verona, coming off that win over Madison West, is at Middleton. The Cardinals, the preseason favorite to win the conference, squeaked past Janesville Parker in Week 1. So those two teams meeting tonight at Middleton. Two of the top running backs in the league will be showcased there. Verona's Carson Parks coming off a monster performance last week against West. And of course Middleton's Cam Molly, one of the top returning running backs in the area. Good Neighbor Fest at Middleton tonight, so if you're going to that one, get there early. I'll be there for that game. John Mason will be here covering the East-West rivalry at Breese Stevens. One other game of note in the Big 8 Conference tonight out at Sun Prairie. The Cardinals will celebrate their 500th victory as a program, recorded last year. They'll have a celebration with a lot of former coaches as well as former players before their game tonight with Beloit Memorial. Elsewhere around the area tonight, we'll have our correspondent Mike Hockett out at Monona, where the Silver Eagles of Monona Grove, off to a 1-0 start under Brandon Beckwith, will take on DeForest in a 7 o'clock game of Badger Conference crossover teams. Two more great running backs in that ball game coming off great Week 1 showings. Of course, Iowa recruit Torrin Young of Monona Grove rushed for 266 yards last week in that big win over Mount Horeb Barneveld, and DeForest Jordan Sackman coming off a 100-yard game last week in a win over Fort Atkinson. Both those teams winning in Week 1. Another big Badger Conference crossover as Milton takes on Waunakee down at Milton, as the Warriors last year ousted the Redhawks from the WIA playoffs. This year, both teams pegged to win, or to contend at least, in their divisions of the Badger Conference. And, of course, conference play starting next week, so another big crossover game here. These games in the Badger don't count in the standings, but certainly these teams want to get off to a good start next week and want to go in with some momentum. So that Waunakee at Milton game tonight, the other big one in the crossover in the Badger Conference crossover series. Other big games tonight on the schedule, Lake Mills at Edgerton. Lake Mills sending a statement last week with a 31-14 win over Capital South contender Marshall. They hold the Cardinals to fewer than 60 yards of offense. 60 yards rushing in that ball game, and Lake Mills certainly appears to be a force to be reckoned with, as they are considered to be a favorite in the Capital North. Edgerton, a favorite in the Rock Valley North, outscored New Glarus Monticello last week 48-34, so it should be a fun ball game tonight down at Edgerton. Another big ball game in non-conference play tonight, Deerfield at Cambridge. Less than 10 miles separate these two former conference rivals back in the Eastern Suburban Conference. They're currently contenders in their respective conferences. Deerfield expected to win the Trailways Large Conference, and Cambridge expected to win the Capital South. Both those teams coming off of Week 1 victories. And one other game of note in the area, down at Darlington, the first ever night game at Martins Field, as the Darlington Redbirds will get a halftime appearance by current Badger player Alex Erickson. and in between taking on New Glarus Monticello, which promises to be a very entertaining non-conference game as the Redbirds gear up for SWAL play with their first ever night game, that one kicking off at 7 o'clock with a whole lot of festivities beforehand as well. We'll have all the scores, updates, and insights from around the area throughout the state tonight on our live blog on wisconsinprepzone.com. We'll fire that up just after 5 p.m. tonight, so if you're on your way to the football field of your choice, make sure and check out our app, the madison.com app, the Wisconsin Prep Zone app, or go on our mobile site at madison.com, and we'll have our Wisconsin Prep Zone Live Week 2 Prep Football Update live blog up and running, so you can keep tabs on all these big ball games going on around the area. Again, John Mason will be here tonight at Breese Stevens. I'll be out in Middleton, where Verona and Middleton square off, and Mike Hockett will be at DeForest and Monona Grove, as we'll have you covered on Week 2 of this high school football season. That's the Week 2 Friday Tailgater from Breese Stevens Field. I'm Rob Hernandez, WisconsinPrepZone.com.